The city of Varnak 7 was dark and loud. Smoke filled the air. Neon signs flickered over narrow streets. Strange aliens moved quickly, speaking in low voices, selling things they shouldn't. It was a place where danger lived, and secrets too. Jace walked through the busy night market with a tired face and a heavy bag of broken ship parts. He was a human scavenger, trading whatever he found in old battlefields. He didn't care for politics. He didn't care for aliens. He just wanted food, fuel, and a quiet ship to rest in. He stopped at a metal shack glowing with red lights. The merchant behind the counter was a fat, four-eyed creature named Groltek. Jace knew him. Groltek always had something valuable and always had a price. "You again?" Groltek growled, showing sharp teeth. "I got parts. Hyperdrive coils." "Fresh," Jace said, dropping the bag. Groltek sniffed. "Good stuff. I'll give you 500 credits. "Too low," Jace said. "These are clean. No burn damage," Groltek grumbled. 600. Final offer." Jace sighed and nodded. "Fine." But Groltek leaned closer. "There's a problem," he whispered. "The station froze my credits today. Some. Empire alert. I can't pay you in money." Jace stared. "Then we're done here." "Wait," Groltek hissed. "I can offer you something else, something rare, more valuable than credits." Jace raised an eyebrow. "What?" Groltek stepped back and waved his hand. From the shadows, two guards pushed a small figure forward. Chains rattled. A girl barely older than 20 stood before Jace. She had silver hair, messy and full of dust. Her face was marked with alien patterns, but hidden behind dirt and bruises. She wore torn robes and looked down, not meeting his eyes. "A slave?" Jace asked, frowning. "She's quiet, strong, works hard. Stolen from nobles, maybe." "You take her, you win." Jace looked at the girl again. She was thin, but she stood tall. She didn't cry, didn't beg. She didn't even flinch. "I don't buy slaves," Jace said coldly. "No payment, remember?" Groltek smirked. "This is trade. She's yours. Or you leave with nothing." Jace looked at her eyes. In that moment, she looked up. Her eyes were not weak. They were burning, full of fire and pain. And something else. Pride. Jace took a breath. "Fine," he said. "I'll take her." Back at his small starship, Jace sat her down on a crate. He gave her a clean blanket and a food pack. She didn't touch either. "What's your name?" he asked. She stayed silent. "Look, I didn't want to take you," he said honestly. "But I couldn't leave you with that monster." Still no answer. Jace sighed. He opened a box and pulled out a med kit. "Your hands," he said gently. She didn't move. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. "If I wanted that, I'd have left you behind." Slowly, she raised her hands. They were bruised. Jace cleaned them and wrapped them carefully. Her eyes stayed on him the whole time, watching, testing, judging. "You're not from around here," Jace said. "Those marks on your face, they look royal." Still silence. Jace looked at her closely. Her skin was soft pale blue with a silver glow under light. Her posture too perfect. Her hands smooth, even after hard work. "You were never a slave, were you?" he whispered. For a split second, her face changed. Just for a moment. Fear, surprise, then nothing again. "I see," Jace said. "You're hiding something." She finally spoke. One word. "Sleep." It was soft, almost a whisper. She stood and curled in the corner of the ship near the wall, wrapping herself in the blanket. Jace, he didn't say another word. He just watched her. Who was this girl? Why did she have the eyes of someone who once ruled something great? Why did she stay silent, but not broken? Outside, Varnak 7 glowed in the dark. Inside, two strangers sat quietly in a metal box flying through space, one hiding the truth, the other about to find out, and somewhere deep in space, a royal bounty alert began to blink. Jace had traveled the stars for years, But he had never met anyone like her. The strange alien girl with silver hair had been in his ship for 2 days. Now, she still hadn't told him her name. She still hadn't smiled. She still hadn't asked for anything, not food, not water, not even freedom. She simply watched from the far corner of the ship. Wrapped in a blanket, she would study every movement he made. Her eyes followed him like a hawk. Calm, cold, curious. Not like a slave, not like someone broken. No. She moved like a queen waiting for the right moment to speak. Jace tried to be patient. He cooked meals and placed them near her. She didn't eat while he watched. He left them quietly, and hours later, the food would be gone. He offered her clean clothes. She refused with a slight shake of her head. He spoke gently, tried jokes, tried silence. Still, she remained quiet. Until the third night. Jace had just shut down the cockpit and walked toward his sleeping bunk when he heard something strange. A hum. Not from the engine. From her. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, holding a small round object in her hands. It glowed faintly, gold symbols circling its edge. Her eyes were closed, and her lips moved in silent prayer. Jace stepped closer. "What is that?" he asked. She didn't answer. He took a cautious step forward. Suddenly she opened her eyes, and the glow vanished. Her gaze was sharp now, cold. She stood up slowly, tucking the object under her robe. "You shouldn't have seen that," she said, her voice low but steady. Jace froze. So she could speak. He tried to keep calm. "You've got secrets. I get it. But I just saved your life. You could trust me." She stared at him. "You didn't save me. You accepted a trade. I am still property to you." "I never said that," he replied. "You're free to walk out that door any time." Her lip curled. "And where would I go?" "You think I'm safe anywhere out there?" Jace frowned. "So what are you running from?" She turned away. "I asked your name," he said gently. "I think I deserve at least that." The girl walked to the small window, looking into space. Her back was straight. Her hands folded calmly. "I was once called Siren," she said after a pause. "That name means nothing now." "Siren," Jace repeated. "It suits you." She said nothing. "Were you royalty?" he asked, unsure if he had gone too far. She turned slowly, her eyes meeting his. "Don't ask questions you are not ready to die for." The air between them went cold, but Jace didn't move. He didn't reach for a weapon. He didn't back down. Instead, he nodded. "Fair enough." He turned to leave. Then came the sound. A sudden beep. Sharp, repeating. Jace ran to the cockpit. A red signal blinked across the screen, a tracking beacon. He tapped a few buttons and read the incoming code. "Unknown ship. High velocity, locking onto our path," he cursed. "Damn it. Someone's following us." He glanced back toward her. She hadn't moved, but her face had lost all color. "It's them," she whispered. Jace single quotes, eyes narrowed. "Who?" She looked at him now, truly looked at him. Her voice shook slightly. "They found me." He didn't ask how. He didn't ask why. He just powered up the engines. Minutes later, the small ship cut through space like a knife. A dark cruiser followed behind, closing the gap fast. "Hold on," Jay shouted. Siren stood behind him. She didn't tremble. She didn't scream. But her eyes glowed faintly, as if something ancient had awakened. "Why are they chasing you?" He yelled. "They want me dead," she replied. "That doesn't sound like something people do to a regular slave." "I told you," she said, gripping the wall. "I was never a slave." The cruiser fired a warning shot. Jace's ship shook violently. "I need a name." "A real one," he said, adjusting controls. "If I'm risking my life for you, I want to know." She took a deep breath. "Serenia Valter." Jace blinked. That name, it echoed in old news reports. Stories of a royal family that vanished. A civil war. A missing heir. "You're the princess?" No, she said quietly. I was the prince's. The stars outside looked peaceful, but inside Jace's ship, it was anything but calm. Alarms blinked red. A royal cruiser chased close behind. Its cannons were charged. If Jace slowed down even for a second, they'd both be space dust. He gritted his teeth. They're not stopping. Beside him, Serenia Volta, the girl once sold as a slave, stood still, her silver hair waving from the cold air flowing through the vents. But her eyes weren't afraid anymore. They were focused, sharp. She stared at the radar screen, watching the enemy ship move like a predator. They don't want to catch me, she said softly. They want to erase me. Jace turned toward her. Why? You're just one girl. I'm not just a girl, she replied. I'm the last claim to a throne. If I live, their power ends. Jace shook his head. And you didn't think to tell me that before I took you from that marketplace? You didn't ask. Another explosion rocked the ship. A pulse blast scraped the rear shields. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Jace cursed and adjusted the controls. I can't outrun them forever. There's a mining moon nearby, Serenia said quickly. Hide inside the canyons. They won't follow if they can't scan. Jace didn't ask how she knew. He just changed course. The moon was rocky and dead. No atmosphere. No lights, just mountains of gray and black stone stretching endlessly. Jace flew low, weaving between sharp cliffs and cracks, until the radar behind them blinked out. They lost us, he whispered. He landed the ship inside a deep canyon. Engines off. Lights dimmed. Silence. But neither of them spoke for several long minutes. Finally, Jace leaned against the wall. You want to tell me the full story now? Serenia sat across from him. She looked tired, but she didn't hide anymore. My mother was Empress Valter of the Outer Sectors. I was her only daughter. She ruled a peaceful empire. Until the Council betrayed her. They killed my family. Claimed I ran away in shame. But I escaped, barely. She looked down at her hands. I spent a year hiding. Then someone sold me off like trash. The fewer people who knew who I was, the longer I survived. And now? Jace asked. They found me, she whispered. And if I fall, no one will stand against them again. Jace exhaled deeply. He hadn't signed up for this. He was just a scavenger. He dealt with junk, not royalty. But somehow, he didn't feel angry. He felt protective. I can take you to a safe station, he sighed. I know a few backwater places nobody asks questions. Serenia shook her head. They'll find me. Wherever I run, they'll follow. She paused. I need to stop running. Jace stared at her. You mean fight back? She nodded. He looked at the bruises on her wrists, the tired fire in her eyes, the calm strength behind her pain. You're serious? If I can reach one loyal fleet, just one commander, there's still hope, she said. But I need help. And you want me? Jace laughed bitterly. I'm just a guy with a rusty ship. You didn't treat me like a slave, she said. You treated me like a person. That's more than anyone else has done in a long time. He didn't reply. Because deep down, he wanted to help, even if it meant war. Suddenly, the radar blinked again. 1, 2, 3 signals. They're scanning the moon. Jace shouted. Serenia stood fast. We need to move now. They rushed to the controls. As the engines roared, 3 sleek ships dropped from orbit. Royal Guard fighters, fast, silent, deadly. I'll fly, Jace said. You better start praying. I don't pray, she said. And then she buckled herself in. The chase began. Laser blasts lit the canyon sky. Jace twisted the ship through narrow gaps and sharp turns, engines screaming. Rock walls shattered around them as the fighters fired from above. I can't lose them in this canyon, Jace yelled. Serenia pointed. That crack left. He turned hard. The ship scraped the wall, sparks flying, but made it through. The fighters didn't. 2 crashed into stone. 1 followed. He's still behind us, Jace shouted. Serenia suddenly stood, gripping the edge of the panel. Give me control of the turret. There's no time. Trust me. He hit the switch. Serenia jumped into the side turret seat. Her eyes focused. Her hands steady. Final fighter came in fast. Too fast. Serenia fired once. A single shot hit the engine. It exploded mid-air. A flash of blue flame against the stars. Jace looked at her in shock. She didn't smile, just whispered, I remember everything now. The wreckage of the royal fighter still burned behind them. Blue fire flickered against the canyon walls as Jace's ship lifted into the cold sky once again. Neither of them spoke, not for a long time. Jace glanced at Serenia through the corner of his eye. She was staring straight ahead, breathing slowly. Her hands folded in her lap. Her silver hair was slightly singed from the heat of the battle, but she didn't seem to care. She had just taken down a Royal Guard ship with 1 shot. She hadn't even blinked. When they reached orbit, Jace set the ship on autopilot. He turned toward her, arms crossed. All right. I'm done guessing. Who are you really? Serenia looked out the window as stars stretched by. I already told you, she said calmly. Serenia Valter, daughter of Empress Thalara, first heir of the Valter bloodline, lost ruler of the Emerald Crown. Jace sat down slowly across from her. And here I thought I was just taking a quiet job on a junk world. You weren't supposed to get involved, she whispered. No one was. But I did. He stared at her. And now I'm probably marked for death by the same empire that threw you away. Her eyes met his. You still have time to leave, Jace laughed softly. Not anymore. They landed on a hidden volcanic planet, Torvel 6, a world covered in smoke and lava rivers. Long ago, it had been used as a training ground for royal bodyguards. Now, it was abandoned. But Serenia remembered the layout. This place, she said as they stepped out into the ash-filled wind. This was where I trained when I was 10. I was meant to rule. But they trained me to fight too. Jace followed her across broken stone paths. How did they hide a princess here? My mother wanted me to be strong. She knew one day I might have to survive alone. They reached a burnt-down temple surrounded by jagged rocks. Serenia pushed open the heavy doors. Inside it was dark, but safe. Jace looked around. We're staying here? For now, she sighed. I need time to remember, to prepare. That night, as firelight danced across the temple walls, Jace cooked a simple meal. He placed a bowl near her, like always. But this time, she didn't wait for him to leave. She sat beside him, quiet, close. I watched my mother die, she said, her voice hollow. They poisoned her during a peace banquet. I was the only one who escaped. Jace looked at her but said nothing. I ran for months. I wore rags. I begged for food. And when I was caught, they sold me. She stared at the fire. I lost my name, my power, my family. Everything, her voice trembled. And yet, I lived. Jace finally spoke. Why tell me this now? Because I'm tired of pretending I'm no one, she said, turning to him. You saw me. You didn't bow, but you didn't break me either. That matters, Jace gave a sad smile. I didn't save you, Serenia. You've been saving yourself all along. The next morning, she stepped outside the temple wearing new clothes, ones she found in a sealed locker in the back. It was a light armor, emerald and silver. The symbol of her house burned into the chest. She looked like royalty again, but not soft. She looked dangerous. Jace stepped back. You're not hiding anymore. No, she said. It's time the galaxy remembers who I am. Suddenly, an old com station on the temple wall lit up. A red signal blinked. Is that working? Jace asked. Serenia approached it carefully. Dust flew from the buttons as she pressed the panel. A voice crackled through the static. Is anyone there? Repeat. To any loyal fleet members. Valter signal detected. Requesting confirmation. Her eyes widened. That's a royal encryption code. Old, but it's one of ours. Jace leaned in. A survivor? Serenia nodded slowly. Or a trap? She looked at him. We have to go. Starfall Station floated like a metal graveyard above a dying star. It was old, rusted, forgotten by most of the galaxy, but still active in the shadows. Black market deals, pirate hideouts, and whispered alliances all passed through here. Jace hated places like this, but Serenia was determined. The signal they received on the volcanic planet had led them here. The code was ancient and genuine, used only by high-ranking Valter loyalists. It could be their only chance to contact someone who still remembered her as princess, not prisoner. They docked without trouble. The hangar was dark, lit by flickering yellow lights. Broken drones floated in corners. No guards. No officials. Just silence. Too much silence. Jace's instincts screamed. This place feels wrong. He muttered. Serenia nodded, hand resting near her belt. She wasn't carrying a weapon, but her presence alone felt sharp. I know, but if we want to reach allies, we have to take risks. Inside the station, they followed a guide, a thin man with one cybernetic eye and trembling hands. He never gave a name, only said, "The contact is waiting." He led them down rusted halls to a room filled with blue screens and empty chairs. She will arrive shortly, the man said, then disappeared. Jace waited near the door. Serenia stood still, calm but alert. That's when the walls hissed. Jace reacted first. He covered his face with his sleeve and ran toward Serenia. But she had already guessed the trap. She dove low, rolling under the rising mist, and slammed a panel on the wall. Sparks flew as the system short-circuited, but it was too late. Doors slammed shut. From the shadows, armed figures stepped forward, mercenaries in black armor. No emblems. No names. Just cold eyes and charged weapons. One of them stepped out and removed his helmet. Tall, scarred, and smiling cruelly. I expected more guards for a royal, he said. But I guess this is what an heir looks like after being sold. Like trash. Serenia didn't flinch. Jace aimed his blaster at the man's head. The mercenary laughed. Go ahead, shoot. You might kill me. But the next 10 will light this room up like a sun. Jace didn't fire. The man walked closer to Serenia. You're worth more than I imagined, he said. Dead or alive. The council will pay triple if we bring your head. But they'll pay 10 times more if we bring your body breathing. Serenia's voice was cold. You serve traitors, I serve money. He nodded. 2 mercs grabbed her arms. Another shocked Jace in the back. He dropped hard. Darkness took him. Jace woke up in a locked cargo room, blood on his lip. Head spinning, his hands were tied. His weapons gone. But as he opened his eyes fully, he saw something that made him stop breathing. Serenia was standing just across the room. Untied, free, and angry. What happened? Jace asked weakly. I got them to listen, she said. For a while. She held a small control chip in her hand. Her eyes glowed with cold fire. They thought I was weak, that I'd beg, but I told them who I was. I gave them a choice: join me or face the Empire when I return. And they laughed, she said. So I broke the table. And there. Leader's wrist. Jace blinked. What? She walked over and cut his restraints. They forgot who I am, she said. I reminded them. Suddenly, a blast rocked the station. Screams echoed from the halls. Sirens blared. What did you do? Jace asked. Serenia smiled for the first time. I sent out a signal. The kind only a true Valter can send. Jace looked out the cargo window. In the distance, massive ships dropped from hyperspace. Green banners. Valter banners. Your fleet, he whispered. Or what's left of it, she said. And they're angry. Asterisk, the stars outside Starfall Station were no longer quiet. They were on fire, emerald-colored. Warships dropped out of hyperspace like thunder. Each one carried the ancient crest of House Valter, a symbol the galaxy hadn't seen in years. It was once feared. Now it returned like a ghost from the past. Inside the station, chaos ruled. Mercenaries screamed and scattered. Some ran. Others fired blindly at the arriving fleet. But the old station's shields couldn't hold long not. Against royal weapons built for war. And at the center of it all stood Serenia Val single quotes ter. No longer a runaway. No longer a slave. Now, she walked like fire made flesh. Jace followed her through the shaking corridors as alarms blared above. Your ships are tearing this place apart. He shouted. They waited. Years for my signal, Serenia said calmly. Now they come for blood. They reached the main hangar. 2 black-armored mercenaries blocked their way. Serenia didn't even slow down. With precise, brutal strikes, she dropped both without breaking. Stride.Jace raised his eyebrows. Remind me never to get on your bad side. She gave him the smallest smirk. You already have twice. Outside, dropships landed fast. Soldiers in royal green poured in, led by a tall woman with a metal arm and glowing eyes. Commander Vex, Serenia said. The woman stopped. Her hard expression melted into disbelief. She dropped to one knee. My princess, it's true. We thought you were dead. Serenia finished. I nearly was, but now I need you. Vex stood, voice strong again. Name your command. Serenia pointed toward the command tower. Take control of this station. No more hiding. We begin again today. The rest of the station fell within the hour. The mercenaries either surrendered or were captured. The traitorous leader who tried to sell Serenia was found unconscious, with a broken jaw and both legs shattered. Serenia didn't order his death. She gave him something. Worse public shame. Later, on the deck of her newly claimed flagship, the Emerald Vow, Serenia stood in full royal armor. The green and silver plates shined under the bridge lights. Her eyes, once tired and silent, now burned with purpose. Jace stood beside her, dressed in cleaner clothes, patched up from earlier fights. He didn't wear a uniform. He didn't belong here. But she had asked him to stay, and he had said yes without thinking. You have command again, he said quietly. How does it feel? Serenia looked out the window. I feel like myself, she said, and for the first time, I'm not alone. A hologram blinked to life before them. Vex stood beside several other commanders. All units ready, princess. Orders? Serenia spoke without hesitation. We take back the core systems. We restore the house. And we send one message to every world. The Valter line still stands. The commanders saluted. The transmission ended. Jace turned to her. You know this means war. It's already begun, she said. Now I'll finish it. That night, in her private quarters, she sat alone by a large window watching the stars. Jace knocked once and stepped inside. He held something in his hands. Her crest. The small gold disc she once prayed over. I fixed it, he said. Took some soldering, but it glows again. She took it gently. You kept it? You dropped it when we were running. I held on to it. I thought, maybe you'd want to remember who you were. She looked at him. I never forgot. I just needed someone to remind me it still mattered. They stood in silence. Then slowly she reached for his hand. You didn't owe me anything, she whispered. Yet you stayed. Jace smiled. I didn't do it for royalty. I did it for you. The capital world of Velaris Prime had not seen the Valter banner in years. But now, as dawn broke across its shining towers, the people watched in silence as a single ship descended, green and silver, blazing with ancient honor, from its ramp. Stepped Serenia Val single quotes her dot. She wore no crown, no cape, just the royal armor, polished but scarred. It had seen battle. So had she. Behind her walked Commander Vex, her soldiers, and one human in dark brown clothes, standing just a little awkwardly. GACE. The ruling council had no choice but to open the gates. They had heard the stories, that Serenia had returned, that the last of the royal line now commanded ships, soldiers, and systems, that the traitors who sold her had fallen, but none of them expected her to walk in like this, calm, proud, and alive. In the great hall, under golden light, Serenia stood before the very council that once declared her dead. She raised her voice. You betrayed my mother. You destroyed my name. You let the galaxy burn in silence while you sold lives for comfort. The council leader, a tall man with silver skin and a voice like silk, stepped forward. And what would you have now, Serenia? Valter? Vengeance? No, she said. Justice, he smirked. You'll take the throne? She shook her head. I won't rule alone. I won't repeat your mistake. I will lead, but never above others. The age of silence is over. Gasps filled the hall. After the meeting, thousands gathered in the city square. Screens across the world lit up with her face. This was no longer rumor. This was real. A girl once traded like property had become the most powerful voice in the stars. Serenia stood on the platform and looked across the people. I was sold. She said, I was beaten. I was forgotten. Her voice was steady. But I survived, not because I am royal, but because I refused to be less than human. She paused, and because one human, a stranger with no title, no army, chose to believe I was more than a price. She turned. The crowd followed her gaze. Jay stood off to the side, eyes wide, completely stunned. Later, on the palace balcony, he met her in private. You didn't have to say all that, he murmured. You didn't have to save me, she replied. Stood for a long moment in quiet. Then she reached into a small case beside her. I was given this as a child, she said. It was meant for my future husband. She opened the box. Inside was a ring carved with Valter crystal, glowing faintly like a star. Jace stepped back, nervous. Wait, I'm not asking you to be a prince, she said, with a tiny smile. But I am asking, will you stay with me? Jace blinked. Then smiled. I already did. In the months that followed, Serenia rebuilt her empire, but not with fear. She ended the slave trade that once broke her, freed thousands, restored broken planets, and beside her always was the human who once took a girl in chains aboard a rusty ship and saw her soul, not her price. Final scene. In the same market where it all began, a merchant shouts over the noise. Fresh parts, fresh fuel, anyone buying? A small child runs past, laughing. Behind him, a tall woman in green and silver armor walks calmly through the crowd, eyes sharp, heart full. She passes the same stall where she was once sold. She doesn't look back. She only walks forward, free,